Right.
Hello.
Do you want to do the introductions first then? Do you want to go who you are?
Yeah.
Made?
I'm Britt, and I created a piece called Unnatural Selection, and it was based on enhancing the body using hybrid adaptive wearables.
So I'm Ever. I created a mermaid autopsy scene, which was a life-size mermaid autopsy piece.
I'm Mia, and I made a cleaning lady, an elderly cleaning lady, where all of her cleaning utensils were made and inspired by different animal parts and animal byproducts. So kind of experimenting a lot with an alternate reality.
I'm Simon, and I did a teacup dinosaur, so a genetically engineered little pygmy dinosaur T-Rex that you can keep as a pet, which was inspired by a description in the Jurassic Park novel. What inspired you to do the mermaid autopsy then? Because that's quite, it's basically a little bit of horror and body horror, but also like a little bit of fantasy, so that was like a really nice, what inspired you to come up with that idea?
So my wife actually wanted a mermaid costume for a Comic-Con that we were doing. So I was already looking into mermaids for that, and decided actually I'd like to do some more mermaid stuff, so I decided to make it my project, but wanting to go down my own sort of route because I'm not really into like the pretty fantasy stuff. I prefer more of a horror-based theming, so I went with something that was more my style, basically.
I think that's something that, especially in your guys' work, in your three, is that if you're interested in creature effects, I think you tend to enjoy the fantasy aspect, but also you want to put a little bit of a creepy twist or a horror twist. Like, you know, both of your guys, Mia and Britt, your work both had like a slight horror element tinge to it, or an unsettling tinge to it. Was that something that you both had aimed for, or was that something that came about naturally?
With mine, I think it just came about, but I wanted that kind of contrast between this grotesque skin and then having these ribbons. So I wanted like the beautiful and the grotesque to contrast.
Yeah. I like this, like a boutique, you know, Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills style like store, and it's something you would just obviously never expect to see there. Yeah.
That's like the kind of like what you're saying about having this alternate reality as well, Mia.
It opens up like a whole other window of work that you can create, because it adds like such a, I don't know, by having something so familiar, but then also something that's like super different, because obviously you're not going to expect to see anything like that in a shop, especially what you've made. But I think you can kind of then have like play around with it so much more.
Even though the idea of like having a T-Rex in your home as a pet was like, I wanted that idea of like, would definitely not exist in this environment, or seems out in this environment.
Because it's like playing on the idea of what we're so used to and what we kind of take for granted. So like everybody's got some kind of pet in their house, but then like you're saying, that you just don't expect to then have a little dinosaur as a pet. So it's kind of playing on, it's like playing on that that sense of normality in quite a fun and interesting way.
And with creature effects, I like the idea of to design this whole story and bring something to life that wouldn't exist in an environment we're used to. So I think that's...
You get to put like a lot more of your own sort of detail into it as well, don't you, really?
Yeah, definitely.
Especially if you go off like written word as your basis, and you can just bring literally whatever you want into it, and you can make your own story, and it's more open and freedom with it.
Yeah, the boundaries are there, so it's kind of, you can just do whatever, and it's fine within that world that you create.
I take inspiration from everything.
Yeah.
So talking of inspiration, then, like,
Nice segue.
yeah.
Dude.
Talking of inspiration, is there any creature design or any film that has really inspired you and guided you to? Obviously, no secret that mine is Jurassic Park, but like for you guys, like, is there a particular thing that just clicked in your brain? You're like, oh my god, that's what I want to do, or that's what I want to try and emulate.
I think Harry Potter, just in general, has just massively influenced why I'm doing this type of work. I think that blew my mind a little bit when it was first released, just the kind of seeing how all of that was achieved, especially when it comes to like makeup and prosthetics and that kind of silicon making side of things. That was kind of a massive inspiration and starting point. It kind of spurred on the interest quite a lot.
I think that's similar for me. The amount of, I don't have one specific, but the amount of like behind the scenes you watch of that's time on YouTube watching behind the scenes of all these films, and a lot of Harry Potter, or whether it's the prosthetics from Game of Thrones, or I'm trying to think what else, like Jurassic Park, Star Wars, or
Lord of the Rings, just everything. If anything, that's like more exciting than the film itself, like the half an hour compilation videos of how everything's made. But I love it.
Like the one that always stands out is always Jurassic Park in the end. Like, obviously as a kid I loved dinosaurs, but terrified that Jurassic Park had actually released real dinosaurs into the world, and I was convinced that they were out there ready to eat me, because they were just so realistic. And just the more you learn about them, like especially like the guys in the raptor suits, it was like interesting but funny, and it was just it was like, I think that's what really drew me to it.
And they hold up so well as well, like even going back and watching Jurassic Park now, which was 1993, so having it like over 2 decades ago, that work holds up so well, and that practical element, can't be faked, or that tangibility can't be faked.
And it kind of, that enhances the importance of having a practical effect, or like having something that's physically there, as opposed to then just, it's hard to predict what the future is going to be like if it's just going to turn digital. But I think practical effects, just you can't beat it really, can you, when it comes to that?
Well, talking about the future, segue. What would you guys like to achieve? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years time? Like, but where do you want to guys take what you've learned and take your career?
It's a hard one, but because there's uni's opened me up to so many different departments that I wouldn't have really known about before. But so from the last 3 years, I think it's made me more interested in the prosthetic side of it. Maybe, and I do like the whole designing process, and just like all the art finishing as well, and the sculpting. I'll be open to anything. That's the thing. I think at this stage,
hire us. We'd be happy to do anything.
Absolutely anything. And I love all the different parts.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel the same actually. I think, especially with this project, we've like unlocked so many little doors, but we haven't really managed to kind of like see all of those through, because we've only really learned a small section. So I think that I want to get as many skills and learn as much as possible to then, in way down the line, to then refine and kind of figure out what the hell I'm doing. But I think that just everything and anything. I think it's such an exciting process that kind of just want to learn everything.
You want to make sure you've got every sort of like ability going at this point, and then come back when you're older and decide what you're going to specialise in. Like, you want to try it first, because that one thing that you don't pick up is going to be the one thing that you want to do for like the rest of your life.
If you don't try everything, then you're not going to know what you don't like and what you do like. So I think that you should try everything then.
That's it. Like at university, like over the last 3 years, like it's definitely, that's sort of what I was saying before, is that it's definitely made me aware of the things. Like, okay, well maybe I don't have a huge interest in this. Something I thought I was learning, model making, like miniatures making, although I still love them and I still want to do them. That's what I thought I was coming there to do. And then once I started doing sculpting and stuff, that my view sort of changed, and I was like, oh, this is the thing that I enjoy doing. This is the thing that I feel like gives me a lot of creativity. And
where can you see yourself in the future? What have you got in mind?
I'd just like to get paid. So at the moment, being like coming on to 34, like a large part of it for me is that, you know, I'm just ready to get out there and start at the bottom and start, you know, turn this thing that was my hobby and into something that, you know, is a career, because as you know, like I'm leaving a career in nursing.
Yeah.
So I can see myself doing this for like the next, you know, how many years of my life I've got left, and I think being content and being happy and getting paid to do something that you love would be really nice. But yeah, I just want to be a part of making those illusions, that fool people, and hope to come up with like these, helping to make these emotive and iconic, you know, creatures that, you know, people are fascinated by. Would be that'd be a nice reward.
Tell us about your work. Tell us what your great inspiration was.
Well, since even before coming to university, I've always been really interested in creature creation. My Cyclops over here is mainly based on the sort of the talented workforce of my like family that have inspired me to like continue to be creative.
Now, so where would you like to see yourself going? Would you like to be more physical maker in the film world or digital? What would you like to see yourself doing?
I think the pull is definitely physical. I like to get stuck in with my hands and do like more of a traditional creative process. I've dabbled a bit with the digital designing side and I do enjoy it, but I think my main drive is to get hands-on and painting and like making things look like skin and as creepy as possible.
Fantastic, you've done a brilliant job at that.
I'm glad with the sort of the creative side. I feel like I've pushed and sort of fulfilled what I wanted to at the beginning of the year.